Hey, what's going on guys? My name is Taryn and today we're going to be doing a walkthrough of the iPad 9. I finally had a chance to pick this one up and it is Apple's cheapest iPad in their lineup between the original iPad, the iPad mini, the iPad Air, and I don't have an iPad Pro, but that one would be the most expensive one here. And just from my experience with iPads in the past 12 months, I really think that the iPad, just the original iPad 9, is really good value, and you're gonna see that within this video. In terms of my initial impressions of the design, I actually really like it. I picked it up in this silver color, and it does feel really good in the hand. I have no real complaints about how it feels. It feels just as good as using an iPad Air in the hand, although the Air does have sharper edges here, which you may or may not like. Like, it is more aesthetically pleasing to look at, but there's something about these rounded corners on the iPad here that make it just feel a little bit nicer in the hand, in my opinion. Obviously, the big downfall with the cheaper iPad is going to be the actual screen design and kind of the top of it. You get these big fat bezels that make it look like it's from like the early 2000s. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it's okay, like you do get used to it, but it does not look anywhere near as good as the iPad Air. As you can see, there's the same home screen. You got your nice rounded corners here, but then on the iPad 9, you kind of get these chunky bezels there. But I think what's important and what you'll notice throughout this video is that this iPad here can do all the same things that this more expensive, prettier iPad can do. And I'm gonna be releasing a full review over the next few weeks of this iPad, and you'll see that this thing is it has a lot of capabilities, and you don't really need to spend a lot of money to get the best experience with iPads from Apple. In terms of the display, it is at 60 Hertz, and it feels good. Like, I have no complaints with how the actual screen runs, and this is what it would kind of look like if you're kind of just navigating Apple News or pressing into different articles. I have no real complaints about that. It's smooth, it's fluid, there's no issues. The text look nice and sharp. This display does feature True Tone, and it is a Retina display. So colors look great, and it doesn't look that much worse than the display on the iPad Air. And then if I even throw in my iPad mini, this one is the sharpest of them all, but just because it's a smaller form factor. But if we're just looking at the bigger displays, I do think that most people probably couldn't tell the difference between the iPad 9 and the Air display. There is a bit of like, the display on the iPad 9 does look like it's like pushed in a little bit because it's not a laminated display. So on the iPad Air, the display looks like it's at the surface, whereas on the iPad 9, you can't really see it on camera, but there is a little bit of a push in of the display where it almost looks like you're looking inside of the iPad. It was kind of noticeable at first, but you know, after the first few days now, it doesn't bother me at all, and it is definitely not a deal breaker. So I'm gonna pause the video for just a moment to talk about today's video sponsor, Ugreen. They were kind enough to send over their brand new 100 watt gallium nitride fast charger. This is probably one of the best looking chargers I've seen. Just the actual finish and color of this is amazing, it's beautiful. It comes with 3 USB-C ports and 1 traditional USB port for you to charge up to 4 devices at the same time. So I'm talking iPhones, multiple iPads, laptops, you name it. You can charge all these devices with the Ugreen charger here, because it can do up to 100 watts of power which is very, very impressive. If you guys are interested in checking out this charger from Ugreen, there will be a link in the top of the description down below for you guys to check it out. But anyways, thank you so much, Ugreen, for sponsoring today's video. So the next thing I want to test out in this video is just watching content on this iPad and seeing what it's like. I pulled up a YouTube video here from Vox. I'm just gonna make it big and let's see what it looks like on this iPad. If you hit play.
Do you remember the 1999 NBA playoffs? What about the 2019 playoffs? This chart shows every spot the player made a shot for both.
So, I mean, initial impressions is the bezels, they almost act like a place to hold the iPad without intruding on the video. It's weird, you know, the bezels are negative, but in the sense of watching videos, it's very comfortable to have your fingers actually like collapse on it and you knowing that you're not gonna interrupt the video. Versus on a bigger iPad, you know, you kind of have to keep your fingers more on the side. Almost, it's a little bit more uncomfortable. And the other thing I'm noticing as well is that the speakers. So there's only speakers firing down on this iPad 9, and it kind of sucks. Like, these speakers don't sound good at all. But I think for a lot of you guys, you're probably gonna use headphones or earbuds. So this may or may not be a deal breaker for you, but if you are like, you love using speakers, the ones on the iPad 9, they kind of suck. This does also come with a headphone jack, which I only noticed like yesterday. So if you are still rocking headphone jacks, you can also just plug that right in on this iPad and it'll work just fine. So one of the big things with iPads is the use of an Apple Pencil. This is the Apple Pencil Gen 2 from Apple, but this actually is not compatible at all with this iPad. You have to use the Apple Pencil Gen 1. I did not pick up that pencil. I actually ended up going with the cheaper one from Logitech. It's called their Logitech Crayon. It actually works very, very well. I'm a huge, huge fan of the Crayon here. It's this nice gray finish. If I kind of move it around, it won't just roll off the desk because it has sharp edges. It's impossible for it to just kind of roll away, which is nice. And it doesn't use Bluetooth at all. It uses some kind of weird voodoo magic frequency pairing where if you just turn on the thing, it will just work. I'm not sure how it does it, to be honest, but the pencil just works. And this is a lot cheaper than what Apple sells. So if we go into notability here, I'm just gonna show you what it's like to take notes with this pencil. So we're just gonna write my name on here. So my name is Taryn. And that feels great. Like the latency is good. It doesn't feel out of place there. I can sign as well. This feels great. The only downside with this cheaper pencil from Logitech is that it doesn't have pressure sensitivity. So if I actually push down, it doesn't know that I'm pushing harder on the screen versus on the Apple Pencil, there is pressure sensitivity. So if you are looking to pick up an iPad 9 and you want to do digital art, I would probably avoid picking up the cheaper Logitech Crayon. But if you are not planning on drawing, you just want this for note taking and for, you know, work in this type of environment, then you could get away with this because this feels great. There's no reason why you should spend more on a pencil because Logitech actually nailed it here. It even does come with a charging port there, so it charges via Lightning, it looks like Lightning, or USB-C actually, so even better. So, you know, this is a win. I love this product a lot. The next thing I want to walk you through is just going into Safari. So that's a big thing that I think a lot of us will use, is just going on the web browser. So if I go to Google, this is just what it's going to look like on the iPad. Loads just fine. Let's try New York Times. New York Times. And there you go. It loads great. This is all powered by the A13 Bionic, by the way, so it's not the same chip that is in the iPad Air here. This one's powered by M1. And in terms of just fluidity in the ecosystem of this iPad, there's not a big difference between the two. I mean, this one does feel just a little bit smoother, and it's supposed to because it's $300 more and it has an M1 chip in here. But I think for the average person, performance-wise, as you'll keep watching through this video, you don't need anything better than this. Like this, the A13 is very, very capable in this iPad and just gives you a nice fluid experience as well. Multitasking. Actually, oh, I'm getting a little bit of jitter. Okay. The iPad Air does not give me jitter, but you know, that wasn't too bad. Go ahead and just swinging between apps there. If we go to Lightroom, and then we can go back to Safari. You know, that's multitasking on the iPad there for you as well. So that actually works okay. It is actually a little bit slower. I might actually back up on my words a bit. I do find that the multitasking on the iPad Air to actually be quite fluid. So if I unlock the screen, I'm actually gonna take that back. It's a lot smoother. Like there's no stutter. There's no jitter at all going from app to app to app. Where the A13, you can see the age of it kicking in. The M1 is like butter, just stupid smooth. So, I mean, but this is also $300 more, guys. Like, I don't know if having a bit of a faster multitasking experience is worth $300 more on an iPad. I'll leave it up to you. Okay, so now I want to show you what it's like to type on the keyboard of this iPad, how it feels to type on the keyboard of the iPad. See, you can get it done. I mean, horizontally, this works pretty good. My name is, I kind of missed the, my name is Taryn, and this is my typing experience. So it's a little bit uncomfortable, but it works. Like, you can get it done. You can also do it in landscape, which, you know, I don't know who has big enough hands to type in landscape, but there you go. You might actually want to lay it flat. This is me typing in landscape on the iPad. That actually works pretty well. Typing in landscape on a flat surface. This works very well and feels good in the hand to type on. Not bad, actually. I'm kind of surprising myself. Not bad. So that's on-screen keyboard experience for the iPad. Another thing I wanted to mention is that if you guys are interested in getting an actual keyboard and turning this into a laptop, Apple does sell one, which I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest, because there's no trackpad. I would actually opt for you to go and pick up the Logitech Combo Touch. They're not sponsoring this video. I don't even actually own the product. I've only heard good things about it. I just don't plan on buying it because I don't need to type and turn this into a laptop. I already have the iPad Air for that, but with the Magic Keyboard. But if you want to, you know, a budget route to a laptop iPad experience, the Combo Touch is amazing, has a great keyboard, great trackpad, and it actually makes use of Apple's smart pin connector. If I'm not mistaken, you might not be able to see it in the video. There they are. And pretty much what that allows the keyboard to do is give you almost zero latency. So it's gonna feel really good to use on the iPad. So the next thing I wanted to demo is Touch ID on this iPad. It's gonna be that little circle at the very bottom there. You might not be able to see it, but it's there. And it works. I mean, you just put your finger on the home button, it unlocks, and you're in. Do I like it better than Touch ID on the iPad Air? No. iPad Air Touch ID works a lot better. You just kind of rest your hand, and it just feels more natural to have it there as well. I mean, when you're using this iPad, the fact that I gotta like reach down to do the Touch ID thing, not a fan. I don't know. I want to demo to you some games on this iPad because this is actually a really capable gaming machine. And the first game we're gonna play is Modern Combat. With the A13 Bionic, you're not gonna have any real issues gaming on this. It actually feels like it runs pretty well for the most part, I would say. Where am I going though? Oh. There they are. Get out of here, boss. Gonna reload. But like, this is running pretty smooth. There's a guy there. In terms of load times, no noticeable difference between this and the iPad Air, which is kind of crazy. Again, this is $300 cheaper. Let's just skip through this part. Playing as the Raptors. Shout out to Toronto. They didn't actually make it that far in the playoffs, which kind of sucked. All right, here I go. I'm gonna try to get a 3 for you guys live on video. Barnes has the ball. He shoots. Oh, I actually caught it. But there you go, there's a 3 ball for you guys. And in terms of like frame rate and fluidity, I'm not noticing any lag as I'm playing this as well. It does feel smooth and it feels good to play. These Sonic games are actually not too bad either, if you guys are into that. I actually saw the movie, both of them. Really liked them. Would strongly recommend if you want like a throwback to the Sonic series. They do a really good job in the movies. So right now we're gonna do a camera test of the back camera on this iPad here. You're gonna see some photos on screen right now, what it looks like. They're okay. I mean, they're iPad photos. But you know, so if you are planning to take some pictures with your iPad, this is kind of the quality you can expect. I would still probably recommend that, you know, you use an iPhone, like this iPhone SE here, for example. So the other cool thing about this iPad is that it does feature the brand new ultra-wide camera from Apple that has the center stage. So the camera is going to follow you no matter where I go or how far I go, because it can go super, super wide. Like I'm pretty far away from the screen. And there you go. So that actually works pretty well. This is the exact same camera that is on the iPad Air, which is this one right here, as well as the iPad Pro. So you're getting pretty much a pro level feature in a $300 iPad. All right, so the last thing I want to show you in this video is doing some light photo editing on this iPad, because you can do professional work on here. If you want to do video editing, photo editing, you can do it on this iPad. Like the A13 is fully capable. Personally, I'm not going to use this to do any video editing, but I could very well see myself using this iPad screen here to edit some photos on Lightroom. So let's just go to one of my raw photos here. This was a thumbnail that I made for an Xbox video. You can see if I just hold the pencil down, you can see this is what the original image looked like. And then all the changes I made here in Lightroom to the light, color, exposure, and detail was able to kind of get me a nice looking image. And you can do this all with the pencil, which I really like. You almost feel like an artist when you do photo editing on an iPad, because you actually have the pencil kind of guiding the way for you. Yes, you can use your finger and you can, you know, move stuff around like that, but using it like this feels really good. I'm just gonna undo those changes. But as you can see, I can make any manipulation I want to my images and they will come out looking really nice. If I go to another image here, let's pick up the one, let's get this desk. This desk's shot here was pretty nice. If I go out, hold down the pencil, you can see the original shot, colors just popped a bit more. So one of the things I did with this image was that I lowered the highlights because there was actually a lot going on if I had the highlights fully up. So I lowered it down, increased the shadows because it was, you know, I wanted the image to be a little bit brighter, and then I gave it some, you know, a bit of a cooler tone and a bit more saturation to make the colors in the image just pop. But you know, this is a lot of fun. If you ever take photos of yourself or your family, Lightroom is a great place to kind of edit those photos on your iPad. So there you have it. That is my walkthrough of the iPad 9 here from Apple. You know, initial impressions having this for just a few days is that this probably is the iPad most of you should buy. I know the screen and the display and the bezels, you know, they don't look nice. Like, to be honest with you, I walked outside with this wouldn't be my first choice. You know, I would go for something prettier like this, or something smaller, more modular like the iPad mini. But if you put looks aside, you know, as the saying goes, it's the personality that counts. This iPad 9 really delivers, and I'm excited to release a full review for you guys as I use it more over the next few weeks. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're brand new to my channel, and comment down below hashtag iPad9 if you finished the video, and let me know your thoughts on this iPad. I would love to know. But anyways, I'll catch all of you guys in the next video. Peace.